The basket was too cheerful for a night like that. Purple ribbon stuffed with tea, lotion, and a dumb little candle shaped like a cat. I held it like an idiot, standing in front of the door that should have been mine. I tried the key again. Nothing. Deadbolt wouldn't budge. 12 years in that house. 12 years with Carla. She was warm a few hours ago, her hand wrapped around mine in that sterile ICU room. Now she was gone, and I couldn't even get inside my own damn home. My name's Travis. I'm 38. I live, or I used to live, in a town called Bozeman, Montana. I stepped back and looked around. The porch light had been swapped out. New mat on the steps, something with flowers and a cursive, "Bless this home." That wasn't ours. The curtains, white lace now, definitely not ours. And through the window, I could see cardboard boxes stacked along the wall and a couple of throw pillows that looked straight out of a Hallmark catalog. Laughter came from inside. Female voices, clinking glasses. I rang the doorbell. It opened fast. Evelyn stood there, Carla's mom, gray hair tight in a bun, pearl necklace like armor. And behind her, Marcy, Carla's younger sister, unpacking some plates. Evelyn looked me up and down like I was a raccoon on her porch. "Well, that's awkward," she said, flat as drywall. "You don't live here anymore." I blinked. "Excuse me?" She stepped out, arms crossed. "Carla paid for this house. There's no prenup, no kids, no ties. You were just a tag-along." Marcy didn't even look up. She went back to unpacking. I stared at her for a second, waiting for the punchline. "I refinanced this place. What are you talking about?" Evelyn rolled her eyes. "Carla's name was on the title. You didn't bring anything into this marriage but debt and a rusty pickup. Don't make this harder than it already is." My hands curled around the basket like I might crush it. I stepped toward the door. She blocked it. "Don't," she said. "Just don't." She shut the door in my face. Not a slam. Not angry, just firm, final. I stood there like a fool, holding that stupid basket, staring at a door I'd walked through 1,000 times. Then I turned and walked down the steps. Not fast, not slow, just moving, because I had nowhere else to go. I didn't drive far. Just a few blocks parked across from the house on Maple, where I could still see the porch light through the trees. The same light someone else had changed while I was busy signing forms at the hospital. I sat there with the engine off, my hands on the wheel, staring through the windshield like the house might recognize me, like it might flinch or open its door or do anything at all. 2 years ago, we almost lost it. Carla's event business had tanked, hard. The bookings dried up after that wedding she did out in Helena, where the venue flooded. Bad word of mouth spread fast in a small town. She tried to pivot to corporate events, but Bozeman isn't exactly a conference hub. We had mortgage letters piling up on the kitchen table. She was crying at night, trying to pretend she wasn't. And I couldn't stand watching her twist herself into knots thinking she'd ruined our life. So I stepped in. Used the 40 grand my dad left me after he passed. I never touched that money before. It was supposed to go towards starting my own landscaping business. Instead, I walked into the bank and refinanced the damn house in my name to stop foreclosure. They approved it. Paid off the late fees, got us stable again. I picked up night shifts at Anders Hardware, stocking shelves, unloading pallets. My body ached every morning, but the bills got paid. Carla never wanted her family to know. Said her mom would use it as ammo forever. So I kept quiet. Played the part of the steady husband while Evelyn sat on our couch during holidays and hinted about how Carla deserved better than small-town burnout. That woman never missed a chance to call our life too small, too rural, too beneath her daughter. Didn't matter what I did. Didn't matter how many lawns I mowed or how many nights I came home with bruises from hauling concrete and lumber. Evelyn still saw me as the guy who fixed sprinklers and wore steel-toe boots to dinner. Now, she was in that house like she owned the deed, like the years I poured into it didn't count. The same house I insulated in January with my bare hands when the old furnace failed. The same house I wired the entire basement in because Carla wanted a creative space. The same goddamn floors I sanded and stained while she cried over client emails. And Evelyn stood there tonight like none of it mattered. Like I was some squatter with no claim. I leaned back in the seat and stared up through the windshield. It had started to snow again, thin little flakes drifting across the glass, barely visible under the streetlight. It wasn't just grief anymore. It was something sharp and rising in my throat, this quiet, gnawing fury that she was trying to erase me. Not just from the house, from Carla's whole damn life. And if she thought I was going to let that happen, she didn't know me at all. Around 10 that night, I pulled into the parking lot of the Roadside Ridge Inn, just off I-90. The kind of place with cracked vending machines and a buzz behind the lobby light. The clerk barely looked up when I handed him Carla's old emergency credit card. He typed like it hurt his fingers. "Smoking or non?" "Non," I said, though I didn't care. The room smelled like old carpet and Windex. I tossed the gift basket in the trash and dropped onto the bed, still in my boots. Then I pulled out my phone and hit play. Her last voicemail was 32 seconds long. She left it the morning before she collapsed. Sounded tired, but normal. She was on her way to the grocery store. "Do we need more coffee?" she asked, then laughed. "I'll grab it anyway, just in case. Love you." I played it 5 times, then 10. I tried not to imagine her sitting at a red light, smiling to herself, thinking she had more time. In the morning, I called the funeral director, a woman named Nancy. Kind voice, slow words. "Listen," I said. "Carla didn't want drama, so Evelyn and Marcy aren't invited." There was a pause. "That's family," she said gently. "No," I told her. "That's a problem." I didn't give her a reason, didn't offer anything extra. It wasn't about vengeance, it was defense. First shot in a war I didn't start. That afternoon, I parked 3 houses down from the place I was told I no longer lived in. Hoodie up, head down. I knew the back entrance, the old mudroom door with the loose lock Carla never wanted to fix. I slipped in like I'd done 100 times, usually with dirt on my boots and a 6-pack in one hand. Inside, the house smelled like lavender and vanilla, the sharp, fake kind from a boutique candle, not the warm smell Carla liked, sandalwood and fresh coffee. The living room was someone else's now. Frilly pillows, white knit throws. One of those decorative live laugh love signs hung above the TV. There were fake plants in ceramic pots lined up by the fireplace. But what hit me hardest? Not a single trace of me. My photos were gone. The framed one of us fishing at Flathead Lake? Gone. The hand-carved shelf I made? Replaced by glass and gold garbage. It looked like a Pinterest board threw up in there. I didn't call out, didn't move loud, just crept down the hallway and opened Carla's office. That room hadn't been touched, still smelled like her lotion, citrus and honey. Her desk was messy the way she left it. Sticky notes, paper piles, a dead plant on the windowsill. Her planner sat open to the week before she died. Her handwriting was rushed, messy. Call florist, email Dana, check insurance. I dropped into her chair and opened the drawer, started digging. Folders, receipts, random business cards. I checked under the desk mat, inside old notebooks, even behind the bookshelf where she used to stash gift cards. Nothing yet, but something told me it was in here. Carla kept everything. She was too meticulous to leave me with nothing. And I wasn't leaving that house empty-handed. I stayed in that chair and kept digging. Bottom drawer first. Old contracts, expired warranties, a stack of blank checks she never trusted herself to use. I slid the drawer out farther than usual and felt something scrape the back panel. I reached behind it and pulled out a thin manila folder taped flat against the wood. The label was in Carla's handwriting. Bold, all caps. Post-nup. Don't toss. My heart kicked hard enough that I had to stop breathing for a second. I peeled the tape off slow, like it might vanish if I rushed. Inside was a notarized agreement. Clean. Legal. Signed by both of us. Dated a year after the refinance. I read it once, then again, slower. In the event of Carla's death, the house was mine. Sole ownership. No conditions, no carve-outs, no wiggle room. I stared at the signature like it might argue back. It didn't. There was another paper folded inside, not typed, handwritten. Carla's slanted letters, a little rushed, like she wrote it between meetings. "Travis, if Mom starts her nonsense, show this to a lawyer. I love her, but I know her. I need you protected. Don't hesitate. Promise me." That was it. No goodbye, no drama, just Carla being Carla, practical to the end. My chest tightened, sharp and sudden. She'd seen it coming. She knew exactly who her mother was and exactly what I'd be dealing with after she was gone, and she took the time to shield me anyway. I folded the letter once and pressed it to my forehead. Not long, I didn't let myself sink. Grief would come later. Right then, I needed to move. I slid the papers back into the folder, tucked it under my jacket, and stood up. I didn't touch anything else. Didn't look around one last time. I walked back down the hall, through the fake candles and the stage furniture, and slipped out the mudroom door like a ghost. In the car, my hands shook just enough to piss me off. I sat there until it stopped, then pulled back onto the road. That night, I parked behind the motel and called Dana. We'd graduated high school together. She was the smartest person in our class, the kind who corrected teachers without flinching. I'd heard she was a real estate attorney in Billings now. I hadn't talked to her in years. She answered on the second ring. "Travis?" "Yeah," I said. "I need help." There was a pause. "Are you okay?" "No," I said. "But I will be." I told her everything that mattered, not the feelings, just the facts. Carla's death, the house, Evelyn, the folder. "Do not show that to anyone else," Dana said. Her voice sharpened. "Bring it to me tomorrow." "They already changed the locks," I said. "They're acting like it's theirs." Dana exhaled once. "Then they're trespassing and stupid." I let that sink in. "Can you take this?" I asked. "I don't want a circus." "You won't get one," she said. "But you'll get pushback. Her mother won't fold easy." "I don't need easy," I said. "I need done." Dana paused. Carla knew what she was doing. This is solid. For the first time since the hospital, something inside me steadied, not relief. Focus. "Thank you," I said. "Get some sleep," Dana replied. "Tomorrow we draw lines." I hung up, sat in the dark car for a moment, then tucked the folder into the glove box. I locked it, checked it twice. Then I started the engine and drove, not away, but forward. I woke up to a knock that wasn't polite. Hard, fast, like whoever it was expected me to answer. I looked through the peephole and saw Evelyn's white coat first, then a man beside her, tall, clean-cut, wearing a navy suit that didn't belong in a motel parking lot. His watch caught the morning sun like it wanted attention. I took a breath, grabbed the folder from the glove box where I'd stashed it overnight, and stepped outside. Evelyn didn't bother with hello. "We need to talk," she said, already walking closer like this was her ground. The man held out a hand. "I'm Richard Holcomb," he said. "I represent Mrs. Weaver." He had a clipboard tucked under his arm, confident smile, the kind that assumed cooperation. I didn't shake his hand. "Travis," Evelyn clicked her tongue. "This doesn't have to be ugly. We're prepared to be reasonable." "Funny," I said. "Didn't feel reasonable when you changed the locks." Richard stepped in smoothly. "Grief makes people act quickly. We're here to discuss an equitable arrangement." "Arrangement for what?" I asked. Evelyn lifted her chin. "Carla's home, family property." I opened the folder and pulled out the post-nup. Didn't wave it, didn't shove it in their faces, just held it between us. "I've retained counsel," I said, "and this ends the conversation." Richard's eyes flicked to the paper. He adjusted his grip on the clipboard. "May I see that?" "No," I said. Evelyn scoffed. "That's a bluff. Carla wouldn't do that behind my back." "She did," I said. "Signed and notarized." Evelyn's face tightened. "You pressured her. She was stressed. She wasn't thinking clearly." I met her stare. She was thinking clearly enough to protect what we built. Richard cleared his throat. "Mrs. Weaver believes there may be grounds to contest." I cut him off. "I refinanced that house when your client's daughter was drowning. I put my inheritance into it. I worked nights. I fixed every broken thing in it with my own hands. I didn't do that for leverage. I did it because I was her husband." Evelyn stepped closer, her voice low and sharp. "You married up, Travis. Don't pretend this wasn't convenient." That one hit, but I didn't move. "You never saw me as anything but temporary. That's on you." Richard raised a palm. "Let's slow this down. We're open to a buyout, a clean exit, something respectful." I laughed once, short and dry. "You're negotiating like this is a merger. It's not. You're trespassing." Evelyn's eyes flashed. "How dare you?" "You're living in my house," I said. "You removed my belongings. If you keep pushing, I'll file for trespassing and theft. Today." Richard's smile finally slipped. He studied my face like he was recalculating odds. Evelyn looked between us. You wouldn't. I will, I said. And I won't lose. There was a long pause. Cars passed on the road behind us. Someone opened a motel door down the row. Life kept moving while we stood there locked up. Evelyn's shoulders sagged just a little. Not defeat. Adjustment. This isn't over, she said. I know, I replied. She turned without another word. Richard followed, already dialing his phone as they crossed the lot. She didn't look back. I stood there until their car disappeared onto the road. My hands were steady. My heart was loud, but it wasn't running me. I slid the post-nut back into the folder, tucked it under my arm, and went back inside the motel room. Because the lines were drawn now, and I wasn't stepping back. 3 days later, I opened the motel door to find a server standing there with a manila envelope and a bored look on his face. Travis Green? Yeah. You've been served. He shoved the envelope into my chest and walked off before I could say a word. I didn't open it right away, just stared at the seal like it might bite. Then I ripped it open and read every word twice. Evelyn was challenging the post-nup, said I manipulated Carla, claimed undue influence, emotional coercion, all the legal ways of saying he tricked her. I called Dana immediately. Just got served, I said. She's going after the post-nup. Dana didn't sound surprised. I figured she would. She's claiming I pressured Carla, that she wasn't of sound mind. She's fishing, Dana said. It's a common play. Throw doubt at the court and hope something sticks. Can she make it stick? She can try. We'll need to prove Carla was mentally competent when she signed it. Any doctors involved around that time? I paused. Yeah. Carla mentioned a neurology visit. It was months before she passed. Said she was having headaches. Got checked out. Did she get a diagnosis? She said they cleared her, said she was fine. Then find it, Dana said. We need it in writing. I drove straight to the house. I didn't care who was there. Didn't knock. Went around back again, through the same loose mudroom door, and into Carla's office. I tore through the desk faster this time. Top drawer, side folders, the bookshelf, even the filing bins under the window she barely used. Nothing labeled neurology, nothing medical at all. Then I saw a blue envelope wedged between the bookshelf and the wall, like it had fallen. I pulled it out and opened it. Letterhead, Bozeman Neurology Clinic, dated 4 months before her death. Patient, Carla Green. Findings, no evidence of neurological impairment. Cognitive function normal, no follow-up required. Signed and stamped. I sat back on the carpet and stared at it. The damn thing felt heavier than it should have. Not just proof, lifeline. Carla hadn't just been thinking clearly. She'd gotten medical confirmation of it. That paper was a loaded gun, and Evelyn had no idea I was holding it now. I was sliding it into the post-nup folder when my phone buzzed. It was a text from someone I hadn't heard from in over a year. Tina, Carla's old business partner. Tina, hey, weird question. Carla's mom reached out asking if Carla ever showed signs of, mental instability. Seemed off to you near the end? My throat went dry. Me? What did you say? Tina? I told her no. Carla was stressed, not unstable. Why? Me? She's trying to build a case. Tina? Are you serious? Me? She's saying I manipulated Carla. She's going after the post-nup. Tina? That's disgusting. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Evelyn was trying to twist Carla's anxiety, her bad days, her overthinking, everything she carried alone, into a mental breakdown. Trying to rewrite her daughter's state of mind, just to keep control of a house she never lifted a finger to save. I drove straight to Dana's office in Billings. No warning. Walked in and handed her the envelope and the letter. She skimmed it, then looked up at me, eyes sharp. You just shut her case down. You sure? Absolutely, she said. We have medical confirmation. It's dated. It's from a third-party neurologist. Unless they can prove fraud, this nails it shut. I sat across from her, all that weight settling low in my chest. I'd been waiting to feel relief, but it wasn't coming yet. I don't think she's gonna quit. No, Dana said. She won't, not until the court makes her. So what now? We prep. We bring every receipt, every document. I'll file the response and motion to dismiss. You're doing everything right. Stay steady. I nodded, hands resting on the folder like it was the last thing tethering me to sanity. She really tried to erase Carla's choices, I said. She's not the first, Dana replied. But we're going to make sure she's the last. I didn't thank her. Didn't need to. She was in this now. And so was I. The courtroom smelled like old wood and recycled air. Not a place built for emotion, but Evelyn was trying hard to inject some anyway. She showed up dressed in full black, like a widow at a funeral she planned herself. Veil, pearls, stiff posture. If she could have cried on cue, I'm sure she would have. I sat next to Dana, who wore a plain navy suit and had zero patience for performance. Evelyn's lawyer, same polished guy with the shiny watch, Richard Holcomb, opened with a speech about loss and grief and questionable timing. Said Carla was in a vulnerable state. Said the postnup was suspiciously one-sided. Said I was conveniently in control of finances when it was signed. He tossed around words like manipulation and undue influence. Even said I might have taken advantage of Carla's fragile mental health, which almost made me stand up right then. But Dana didn't flinch. She waited, hands folded, eyes locked on the judge. When it was her turn, she walked to the center like she'd already won. Let's start with the timeline, Dana said. 2 years before Carla's death, Mr. Green used his personal inheritance to refinance the house, in his name, to save it from foreclosure. That decision kept a roof over both their heads. She handed the refinance paperwork to the clerk. It slid across the bench with a thud. Second, Dana said, Carla signed a post-nuptial agreement, witnessed and notarized, granting sole ownership of the property to Mr. Green in the event of her death. This was not a hidden document. It was filed properly and kept safely in her office. She let that sit for a beat, then went for the knockout. And third, Your Honor, we have an official letter from Carla Green's neurologist, dated 4 months before her death, confirming she was of sound mind, no impairment, no confusion. She was clear, stable, and perfectly capable of legal decisions. The judge took the letter, read it carefully, then looked up. Anything further? He asked. Dana shook her head. No, Your Honor. Holcomb stood. If I may rebut, you may not, the judge said, cutting him off without even raising his voice. I've seen enough. He turned toward Evelyn. Mrs. Weaver, I understand grief, but your daughter made her wishes very clear. This document holds. Petition denied. Evelyn didn't move. Her jaw tightened, but she didn't speak. She just sat there, staring straight ahead like she hadn't heard him. Dana leaned in and whispered, It's over. I didn't relax, not yet. I didn't trust it until we were out of the courtroom and down the wide steps of the county building. That's when I heard her heels behind me. I stopped halfway down and turned. She stood 2 steps above me, veil off now, her eyes locked on mine like lasers. You think this means you belong? She hissed, low enough no one else would hear. You'll never really belong. Not to her, not to us, not to anything she built. I stared at her for a full second. Then I said, calm as hell. You erased yourself the second you tried to erase her choices. She blinked just once. I turned and walked to the parking lot. My boots hit the pavement hard. Every step was solid. She didn't follow. Didn't speak again. I reached my truck, opened the door, and looked back once. She was still standing on the steps, still playing the part of the mother, scorned, but nobody was watching now. It was done. The chapel was already half full when I got there. Light snow had started to fall again, quiet, slow flakes that melted the second they hit the ground. I parked out back, walked in through the side entrance, and nodded at Nancy, the funeral director. She gave me a small smile. No words, didn't need them. The casket was closed, per Carla's request. Simple wooden finish, no gloss, no frills, just like she wanted. The flowers were soft colors, pale orange, white, and a few of the sunflowers she used to say reminded her of road trips. People came early, neighbors, her old clients, my crew from the hardware store, even folks from the coffee shop where she used to do her planning. They sat in the pews without a sound, just small nods and quiet glances. I stood up front, next to the podium, flipping through the folded speech I'd written and rewritten 6 times. Nothing about it felt real. Nothing about her being gone ever would, but I was holding it together. For now. Then I saw them. Back row, left side, Evelyn in another all-black outfit, this time with a wide-brimmed hat like she was royalty. Marcy sat next to her, arms crossed, head down. They'd slipped in just as people were settling in, like they were hoping I wouldn't notice. But I did. I handed the folded speech to Nancy and walked straight down the center aisle. I didn't move fast. I didn't storm. Just walked with the kind of weight that gets out of your chest once a fight is already done. They both looked up as I reached their row. Evelyn opened her mouth first. "This is my daughter's funeral. I have a right to be here." I kept my voice low, calm. "You were removed from the list. You knew that." Marcy looked away. Her jaw was clenched tight. "This service is for people who respected Carla's wishes," I said, "not the ones who tried to bury them." Evelyn stood up. "You don't get to police grief. That's not your job." "Maybe not," I said, "but honoring her is, and I'm not letting you twist this into another performance." Marcy touched her mother's sleeve, finally speaking. "Mom, let's go." Evelyn didn't move. "We're not wanted here," Marcy said, softer now. "Let's just go." For a second, I thought Evelyn might fight it. Her mouth twitched like she was holding back one last speech, but she didn't speak, didn't argue. She turned, stiff as a board, and walked out without looking back. Marcy gave me a quick glance, something between regret and relief, then followed her. The heavy chapel door clicked shut behind them. I went back up front, took the speech from Nancy, and stepped to the podium. My hands didn't shake. My chest didn't feel hollow. It just felt still. I looked at the crowd and said, "Thank you all for being here. Carla would have hated the attention, but she would have loved seeing all your faces." That broke the silence. A few chuckles, a few teary smiles. I read the speech, nothing dramatic. Just stories, how she used to keep a running list of birthday ideas in her phone months ahead of time. How she made every picnic feel like a catered event. How she insisted on adding lemon to everything, even scrambled eggs. People nodded, some laughed, some cried. One of her old clients stood up and talked about how Carla had planned her daughter's wedding on short notice after a flood ruined their venue. Said she handled chaos with grace and glitter. Said she never met anyone more reliable. By the end, there wasn't tension in the room anymore, just warmth, memory, peace. I sat down, finally letting myself breathe like I hadn't in days. She would have been proud of it, and for the first time since she died, I felt like I'd done something right. Like her voice hadn't just been heard, but defended. Her wishes weren't just honored, they were enforced, and that mattered. The silence in the house hit different once it was mine again. Not a threat, not a weight, just quiet, like the walls were finally done waiting for me. I started unpacking the boxes I'd thrown in storage weeks earlier. Took my time, nothing rushed. Put my tools back in the hall closet, hung our wedding photo above the mantel, restored the hand-carved shelf I'd built 3 winters ago. Every piece I set back in place felt like reclaiming something. Not from Evelyn, from grief. In Carla's office, I found her old planner shoved behind a stack of fabric samples. Not her work planner, the personal one. The one she used for ideas that had nothing to do with clients. Pages were bent, coffee-stained, but there it was, clear as day on the cover in pink ink. Garden plan, spring someday. Inside were sketches, lists, packet names with notes like "good near sunlight" and "attracts bees." Yes, she even taped a seed packet to the back page, lavender marked with a star and a heart. We always talked about starting a garden, but never got to it. Money, timing, frost season. There was always a reason to wait. I didn't wait now. I cleared the backyard over 2 afternoons, tore up the dead grass, dug rows with the shovel I used to keep in the truck, planted everything she'd marked with a check or underline. I didn't label them, didn't overthink the layout. I just followed her handwriting. On the 3rd morning, I checked the mailbox out of habit. There was no stamp, no envelope, just a folded paper with 5 words. "This house will always be mine." No name, but I didn't need one. I stood there for a minute, looking down at it. Then I walked straight to the backyard, grabbed the spade, dug a hole right in the center of the garden bed, and buried the note under 2 inches of fresh soil. I didn't curse, didn't rage. I just laughed, quiet, full, not out of mockery, release. She was powerless now. Evelyn had fired every shot she had, and none of it landed. The note would rot under marigolds. That night, I made a pot of tea, Carla's favorite cinnamon blend, and sat at the kitchen table with the windows cracked open. The air still held some bite, but I let it in anyway. Then I pulled out a notepad and started sketching plans for the guest room. We'd always meant to fix it up, but never found the time. Now, it would be a space for something new. Maybe someone visiting, maybe just peace. I didn't look at my phone, didn't check the mail again. I'd made my final move. The war was over. The garden took over by mid-June. Lavender stretched out by the back fence, the marigolds bloomed fast and loud, and the mint tried to crawl into everything like it owned the place. Her basil came in late but thick. I kept it trimmed just like she wrote in the planner. Snip, don't tear. I followed her notes down to the last detail. Color poured into that yard, like it had waited years to show up. The bench under the tree stayed shaded all afternoon, and most mornings I'd sit there with coffee, just watching the bees do their thing. I didn't rush anymore. I didn't flinch at every creak in the floorboards or pause before walking in the front door. Evelyn hadn't shown up since the funeral. No calls, no letters, just silence. The kind I'd fought hard to earn. The house felt like mine now. No more traces of her, no more watching over my shoulder. I'd replaced the curtains, painted over that chalky gray she picked, even donated half her decor to the thrift store. Someone else could enjoy her knockoff farmhouse nonsense. I'd picked up a few small landscaping jobs again, local ones, people who wanted their yards fixed, cleaned, or just made better. Funny how fast the work came once I put my name out again. Helping people take back their space, it felt good, simple, right? One afternoon, a small white envelope showed up in the mailbox. Handwritten, no return address, just my name in clean script. Inside was a note. For the service, my mistake, I'm sorry. M, and a folded receipt, a refund from the funeral home. It was Marcy, no question, no drama, no signature. Just that one small gesture. I sat down on the bench with the envelope in my lap. Let the sun warm the side of my neck. I didn't need to write back. I didn't need anything from her. But I accepted it. Some things didn't need to be dragged out. I looked out across the garden, watching the flowers sway in the wind, the way she always hoped they would. Everything felt steady, still, but alive, like the house was breathing again. I leaned back, fingers curled over the edge of the bench, and looked up through the tree's leaves. You don't haunt me anymore, I said quietly. The wind moved, and just for a second, the flowers nodded like they'd heard me. The house didn't speak, didn't shift. It just held its place, finally quiet in the right way. Thank you for being with us. Don't miss our new stories. They're coming soon. If you haven't yet, please leave a like and follow the page to see more great content. Your support means a lot to us and motivates us to create even more warm, meaningful stories. See you next time. Take care and stay curious.